and gentlemen, it's been a while since we've done this version of Seeking Wisdom, the core version. It's DG, but DC is still out, but I have a man we've been, who's on the other side? You don't even need an intro. Who's there?
The structure for every podcast, you have to introduce yourself. My name is Elias.
Thank
Torres.
you. That's why I told you to do
CTO
it.
co-founder
Elias
of
is
Drift.
back. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause. Elias is back.
I'm filling in for the big man shoes.
Yes, the big dog. I was trying to get Elias, I think the second day DC was out. DC's on his sabbatical, which when he's back, we're going to do a whole episode. I want to do lessons from DC's sabbatical. I want to hear about his sabbatical.
I would like to know what he learned during his sabbatical too.
He sent me
Doesn't look like there's a lot of learning there.
About an hour ago, he sent me a picture of a barbell with two plates on it. It looked like 245-pound deadlift. So it looked like he's getting back in the gym a little bit. So that
you're messaging with DC. I thought he's on sabbatical.
No, this is an encrypted private. Does encrypted mean private? No?
Yes.
Okay. It's no one else can see it. Anyway, so Elias is here. I wanted to get him the second day DC went on sabbatical. He's like, no, we gotta wait a little bit. So now we're here.
It's been 3 weeks. We're
weeks.
surviving.
We're surviving.
Yeah.
How has it been? What is that? This is kind of a big thing, right? You guys decided. What was it? When did you have a conversation and said we're gonna do sabbaticals at 3 years?
Yes, that was very early on in the history of Drift. We see that companies normally do it at 5 years, and we felt that, if we're gonna work hard, we're gonna play hard at Drift, and waiting 5 years might be a long time, and sometimes people don't know how to take time off, and so David said, you know what, we're gonna do something different. Have you ever heard that line?
Yes. Yes.
So we're gonna do something.
Everybody else is doing it this way, we're gonna do it this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And David felt like 3 years was better because we're gonna work hard. At Drift, we do everything faster. We move, twice as fast.
Yeah, I think 3 years at Drift probably feels like 6
years.
years.
6 years sabbatical, and so therefore we felt like 3 years was a good time, and he said that very early on. But we had nobody that had gone 1 year, 2 years adrift, right. and then we finally hit that mile marker, and I respect him for doing it. I've never seen him take this much time off.
I think it was funny because when he was,
I've never been in 11 years. I've never been without seeing him for more than
24 hours.
4 days. Something like that. It's
a long weekend.
A long weekend. What I mean?
Yeah, he's never sick.
He's never sick. He never goes on vacation. He just works always. He's a machine. And so seeing him not disappear, but just not being in the office is an amazing amount of exercising of self-control that I respect him for that.
How do you think about it?
And more than that, it's just to show the company that it's real.
It's possible.
Because people didn't believe that. It was like, really? We're going to take a month off?
Yeah. So are you going?
No.
You're not taking one?
Not this year.
So you're gonna do a 4-year sabbatical.
I'm gonna do a 4-year sabbatical.
Okay. What has to happen? Do you think we could have done this 2 years ago?
No, because nobody had worked for 3 years.
Well, I know that. I knew you were gonna say that. I mean, don't you think there's something that has to have change in the company though, from a scaling? How do you guys have as founders? How do you have the culture scale in a way where you can feel good about going away for a month, and knowing that things aren't gonna just break while you're not there?
I think that it's definitely something that we keep learning over and over, right? That it cannot be things cannot just get done if David or I are here, right? And I think that the goal of what we've been doing is creating systems. You've been through this before with all the marketing work that you guys do. It's that we've been creating checklists,
Yep.
right? It's like checklist manifesto, right? Of understanding how do we do the same thing over and over, that discipline, that repetition, like we do with the marketable moment. It's amazing for me to remember, early marketable moments, we had to be talking every time. Did you do this? Did you talk to success?
An early marketable moment would be you and Bilotti coming over to my desk and be like, yo, we got this thing. Can we launch it tomorrow? And then that progressed to okay, then we launched some random stuff. And then you had to beat it into my head. What's DG? What is the checklist? No. It's the first Tuesday, or it's the first Wednesday. It's the first Thursday. It's this date. We do this thing. It gets approved this way, right? It all is a progression.
And I see, the other day I saw Craig, and Craig is like, I see Craig every day, but
of course.
The other day, Craig goes It's like I'm on my way. I'm meeting with Dan. We're discussing August, right?
Yep.
And it's like videos are being made, and it's just an amazing, right? To see the entire team knowing what to do.
Correct. Actually, I haven't talked to you about this, but I think it's good. I felt this at a smaller scale. Like, I'm a super type A person, and like, which is hard to scale that, right? If you're super type A, like, my mentality has always been like, oh, if you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. But you can't grow that way. You can't scale that way. And last week I went on vacation, and I actually didn't do much work for the first time in a long time.
Right.
And I came back on Monday.
Well done.
Thank you. And I came back on Monday, and I was like, holy shit. Like, nothing broke. Like,
Yes.
And that was so liberating to be like, okay, this is good. Like, we have a system here. We have something. I think it takes going away for a day or a week or whatever, and you have to go away and see it and see that, like, nothing, the world didn't end while you were gone.
Well, I think that that's something that is in general people don't believe. People think that without them, nothing's going to get done.
Yeah.
I already learned that because I like to escape once in a while.
Correct.
And I come back and, the world kept going.
I've even seen, like, it's been cool to see you kind of since day one, like, as a founder, right? Like, early days of Drift, you're actually sitting there coding, right? Now, like, I don't even know where your laptop is because you are spending all of your day, hiring, recruiting, interviewing with people. And I think that would have been really hard to do, but now you've scaled to a point where, like, if you don't check Slack, it doesn't really matter because you got to do other stuff that's more important. And hopefully you have the teams and systems, around the company to get the other stuff done.
Exactly. I think that it's two things. One, people need to learn how to just take off and know that the world is not going to stop, that they're not that important. No, none of us are. And
if you are, then you hired wrong, and we're not doing it right.
Exactly. And so you could leave, and maybe nothing bad happens, but also maybe nothing good
urgency,
happens.
yeah.
But here, at least, you left, and you know that a lot of stuff got done. And so that's something to the testament of our culture that we're building of accountability and rhythm, and show your work, bias for action, deliver the results daily, right? That everyone understands that, and that we've been getting better at teaching that from day one. That's, for example, one of the things that we used to do. When you started, you had to deal directly. Well, you still have to deal directly with DC and me. But what happens is that it was too much for everybody to hear directly from us.
Correct.
On every single thing of how do we want it, what do we expect, what good looks like, what great looks like, what best looks like. And now what we've done is that we put as much of that information as possible into the Drift leadership principles, so people can get those from many other people because it's being written for everybody's growth. Right?
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because that's a good transition from the sabbatical thing. And I got one other topic. We're gonna stick to the rule of threes on this one. We got sabbatical. I want to talk about leadership principles, and we're talking about reading. So when I think you guys have always kind of had the leadership principles, but you actually, like, within the last couple of weeks, pushed to actually write them down and make them a thing.
No, I mean, they've been written down for a while now. I mean, we evolved that, it used to be, we would hire someone, and, when we were 10 people, we would hire one person and they would start whenever they were ready. As we grew, and all of a sudden we see, like, oh, there's like 5 people starting. We started moving into that classes, cohorts, right?
Right.
First week and third week.
The progression would be like, you show up at Drift, like early days, you'd show up at Drift and we might even be like, oh shit, we don't even have a laptop. Hold on, we got to go to Apple Store and get a laptop.
Absolutely.
Right? Then all of a sudden that happened.
Bilotti, I spoke to him on Monday.
And he started the next day,
and he signed on Tuesday, and he showed up on Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
And he's like, he just showed up, and we just walked together to the Apple Store to buy him a laptop.
It's amazing. Yeah. But then there's a progression. Then all of a sudden 3 people start, and you're like, how do they all know what to do together?
Right.
And
I think it was, we saw great onboarding decks from other companies. I think I saw one of them is like from eShares.
Yep.
We saw that. We saw, obviously, we've been obsessed with reading Amazon, Jeff Bezos, the Everything Store. There's a book called The 14 Ways of Amazon. We saw that. And the writing was on the wall, right? It's like, it's not about just random principles, but it's the way that we would like people to work, right? To think and to hustle. And so the things we kept saying, and like, back to the Jocko conference, to Jocko Willing's conference, it's amazing when you see this amazing role models and experts, how they know how to explain something very clearly. I'm like in complete agreement with everything he's saying. I understand. I can unpack everything Jocko just said.
Right.
I understand it deeply,
right.
but I wasn't saying it in that way.
Right.
And so we began that journey of like writing down our principles, and we've been evolving them, and we've been teaching them on the first day of Drifters, starting days. But it was until Carrie came in that we expanded them and made them better.
I think one of the things is it's not just having them, but I think the difference is when you set the expectations up front, then everybody knows how to act and they act differently, right? Like I think at Drift, like the speed is unlike any other company. The feedback is, a lot of people come here and they think I've gotten feedback before, and then they get feedback here and it's way different. Right. I think without the context, now you have the ability to set that up front. You say, hey, here's how things are going to be here. It's going to be like this. Then when somebody gets that, they're not like, what the, whoa, they expect it. It's like, there's Colin Powell has a saying, I forget what the hell it is, but I'll make it up. He said basically, hey, he would explain to new people that would come work for him and say, I'm going to be all over your ass for the first X weeks until you prove to me that you can take it and scale it.
That's Colin? That's not Jocko?
No, that wasn't Jocko.
I told you, Jocko said the same thing.
He said the same thing?
So he just owned it. Probably.
He probably owned it.
It's from Colin.
But it's the same thing, and I think that changes the perception of it, because then you're not like, why the hell is this guy all over me? He's like, no. He told me he was going to do this. Once I prove that I can show that I own it and take it, then he's going to back off.
Exactly.
And then it's complete ownership for that person.
I'm speechless.
Okay, good. I think that's a progression, right? Like I think if you look at the progression of people over time, the amount of messages, I'll just use myself as an example. The amount of messages I get from marketing has gone down over the time at Drift because things have scaled, right? And we have systems and checklists and process for everything.
No, but like, for example, the reason why I'm able to not code is because we have a structure, a team organization, right? That we have, a technical leader,
right.
Engineers. We have product managers, designers that work into a squad,
right.
Distributed offensive teams. Right. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we'll be talking in the other podcast branch and in the build branch. And so we done that. We have leadership. We have a product development process. We have weekly meetings that allows us to everyone work effectively. And basically, one of the things I said I think in my LinkedIn post is that culture is made up of rituals, shared languages, symbols, and the principles, right? We have rituals.
Yeah, right? Monday metrics on Monday morning, show and tell on Fridays. Everybody does their 15-5s. You have company meeting, SLT meeting at 5 on Friday, the 2-hour monthly meeting, the Wednesday lunch and learn. There's all those things.
Exactly. Yeah. We have rituals. We also have how we hit the gong, how the sales team does it, what song they play, what mask they wear, what costume they put on, how many gongs hits, whether the smoke machine goes on or not. And so those are all the things that unify us as a culture, as a team, right? To execute better. Mm-hmm. Where now you don't need us every day here. I mean, we're here every day, but we can afford to have David rest.
At this point, 170 people, like things aren't working well if that stuff's always coming from you guys. It has to come from everybody else.
But the reality is that most companies don't do this early.
Correct.
Everybody keeps being surprised that we define the leadership.
That was interesting.
Principles.
You guys made so you hired Carrie, who runs like training and development, learning and development training. That was an early hire. Like most companies don't make that hire until 300, 400, 500 people.
Exactly.
Did you have that conversation? Did you and DC have that conversation early on and say we want to invest in this role early?
Well, I think that one of our mottos that we say with people here that you come to Drift is that it's for the learning. Right? But there are two types of way you come. You come and you say, oh, I was at Drift and I learned for 5 years a ton of stuff. But that is not enough because you know what? Like at Performable, I was learning a lot with David, but I didn't know what I was learning.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. And so I think what we are doing now with Carrie and investing in trainers in every area, we have Pete in product, we have Eli in sales, and we have Carrie for the rest, and we probably do something else with the rest of the teams, is that we want to make sure that we formalize the education process. Make sure that everyone's aware that we are investing in them. And that's a big benefit of being part of Drift, right?
That's a good idea. We might need a marketing trainer. Can I get one of those?
No.
Damn. Okay. All right. So you talk about.
You ask DC when he gets back.
Oh, true. No, I'm trying to get you to say yes while he'll say yes. Okay. So you actually talked about learning, which is a good thread because you said something. So, all right, if you're listening to Seeking Wisdom, you know we talk about books, reading, learning, all that stuff. You've been working with DC for 11 years now. I saw on that LinkedIn thing. You can congratulate David on 11 years with working with you. It was like kudos.
For the record,
kudos feature.
He noticed it first on LinkedIn. He sent it to me. And it was kind of like, I wish I could say the whole thread.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He sent that to me, just no words.
I'm sure. All you need to know about the two of them is that David just looks at Elias, or actually looks at me when he says it, and he's about Elias, and he goes, 10 years. And he's shaking his head. Yeah. So
he said that to me, and it got kind of like, it was kind of like mushy, you know?
Yeah.
Like he was like, hey man. It's like a fist bump, and didn't say anything. And then I started talking, and I was saying, come on, stop, focus. We got to work. We got to get shit done.
It's only because he's on his sabbatical did he show his emotions.
He showed a little emotion.
All right, there. So I want to talk about, let's wrap up and talk about reading, because you said to me that you always thought that reading was stupid, and you...
Wait, I didn't know. The story goes that DC said he asked me to read some book, and supposedly the answer was that I said that reading...
Supposedly the answer.
Yeah.
What was the actual answer?
I don't know. You know what? I have good memory, but maybe.
It's possible.
It's possible that might have been interpreted. You know, it's 11 years ago. I was way more both naive and even more egotistical. I'm trying to bring it down.
Just an engineer at IBM, man. You didn't know any different.
I had just left IBM. Okay. I went fresh from IBM into DC. Imagine that. The shock.
No, I can't imagine. That's the two opposite ends of the world.
It's like leaving, I don't know, some like preschool and going into what is it called? A Navy SEAL.
Yeah, right to.
What is it called?
Buds.
Buds. Yeah. It's like going to Buds with Jocko. It
is. In kindergarten.
Yeah, from kindergarten.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I didn't want to put words in your mouth, but I wrote it down because you said it. Reading was stupid. But
it starts anyway. So we can say that. Yeah. David, I guess I didn't do anything before I met David. Didn't, but I 11 years ago, I said reading was stupid. Mm-hmm. And there's been a shift.
Huge.
Right?
Yeah.
Like even David says he doesn't believe who I am, right?
Yeah. Get text from you on a Saturday with a book in your lap on the beach at the Cape.
Exactly.
Oh.
So what happens is that David is an avid reader, right? He just reads all the time. And it's been many years, and I realized that I just now realized how much time I wasted, right? Because Drift has been a new stage in my life, and especially when it comes to learning, because before I was mostly a doer when I was working with David. David, kind of like you, mm-hmm. right? It's like you're doing it better than me, mm-hmm. right? Because DC is like, we need to do this, it never ends, right? Yeah. And so you just go and do it.
Yep.
I was the same.
Yep.
I was at HubSpot. He would be like, let's build this, let's do this, let's do that. And I was, okay, boom, I'll be right back.
Yep.
Build.
Yep.
But now at Drift, I needed, in order to help him more, I think, I needed to, I was like, where's the source of all this vision and all this thinking? And it's from him reading.
Yeah. In order to really build like you guys have said since the beginning, pillar company, $10 billion, right? Like it can't just be you doing the doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it was, but even if it's the doing, but now what we've done at Drift is that, obviously coming from David, is that he's reading and he's helped imparting that knowledge. Now I'm reading and I can also do the same with different parts of the organization. And now everybody at Drift is starting to read in a meaningful way.
Yeah. It's crazy. It really is contagious. Like reading
is fun.
No, I swear to God, it is. It really
fun.
Is. I didn't read a single book in high school or college. I just never did it. Never, because it was never interesting to me. I didn't care. And it wasn't even 3 years ago when I started at Drift was when I actually started reading. And the reason I didn't like reading when I was younger is because I didn't get it was boring as hell. It didn't apply to me. Then DC put me on all these marketing books and copywriting books and advertising books. And that's when I lit up, because I was like, whoa, I can see how this stuff applies directly to what I'm doing and is going to help me make more money, me be more successful, the company more successful, marketing better. And I actually saw how when I read something, I could go and apply it.
Exactly.
And that was like that's why it is fun, because you do read something. And then my problem now, though, is when I read something, I immediately get an idea and then I got to go and, off, because that's what you get out of it.
Now you know how David is.
It's amazing.
But it's like, we're reading books on sales books or on scaling organizations, and we're like, it says there, by this amount of revenue, you should have 45 employees, and you should have this many sales reps, you should have this many in products, you should have this many BDRs, you should have, and we're like, oh,
okay,
that's exactly what, but we could have read that 2 years earlier and planned even better.
100%. What's crazy, a good example of this is also like the other lesson from books is like when you have to read them, they mean different things at different stages. The first time I read Jason Lemkin, Impossible Neville was like 2 years ago when we read it for the first time. And I just reread it last week. It was way different because now we're living it, right? We have a ton of sales reps. We have, leads, traffic, scaling, enterprise, this, that. And it all meant something where when I read it 2 years ago, we had like 5 customers.
Exactly.
And so it's different.
So David is always like reading books all the time and ordering them. And I kind of wait, kind of like the hand me down is like, okay, read this book.
Yeah.
I'm trying to save myself time too.
Well, he's a good filter for it, because
exactly.
if he sends it, the rule that I've learned now is like, if I get a text from him about a book, I just buy it.
Exactly. Well, sort of. Remember my advice that I told you, like if DC asks you for something one time, don't do it. If he'd ask you.
Is that where I got that? Yes,
yeah.
100%. I tell this to everybody now. It's probably not good advice, but this is my playbook. This is the advice I got from you was, if you hear something from David, and unless it punches me in the gut as right away, correct. Shit, that's a Absolutely. Good idea. If I'm like, because I often see you do change your mind. You're like, I didn't believe you at first, and then you go back and do it, because it takes sleeping on it.
It takes sleeping on it. You have to process it. You have to digest. He's not giving you the whole context of where he got it.
So you do that with books. If he sends you one and you immediately think it's good, you'll get it. If not, you're like, oh, wait.
I wait. You know what I mean? I see him reading. I also can measure how good the book is by the number of screenshots David sends me.
Correct.
Photographs of pages through WhatsApp.
Yeah.
If I get a lot from that book and I'm reading it, now I pay more attention to those pages, to those excerpts, then I'm like, okay, that's the book.
Yeah.
And so I do that, except in some cases, I'm being better now just ordering more and more books.
Just to have them.
Sometimes like we both hear about a book at the same time. I order because I said to him, did you order? Yeah, of course. And I'm like, I was so proud because I finally ordered a book.
And he never says no.
He never says no.
When do you? This is a question for the people that listen to this, because one question we get a lot is like, when do you find time? Especially you, okay, founder, busy company, you have 3 kids, family, whatever. When do you find the time to read? How do you do it?
Well, I was finding a lot of time when I was getting up much earlier. I was doing the 4:44 for a while. I did that for like about 9 months.
Yep.
Then the winter crushed me, like around February, and this trip to Vegas, I was just like, I destroy. And so I haven't gotten back on that routine, but early in the morning was the best time for me. I can definitely spend 30, 45 minutes reading, no problem. I was on fire. It just feels so much better that you can bombard the team with like, I read this, I have this idea, all this stuff. You come prepared.
Yeah.
And it's just, you're reading stuff on like the 5 dysfunctions of a team, communication, sales stuff, product, leadership, customer centricity stuff, like, Home Depot books, things like that. You come on fire and it's just so applicable every single day.
Everything.
And so it's just the best way to start the day. So I would say the morning is the best spot. I went to...
But you have to find that kind of extra time, right? You had to get
up. You got to carry the book. I love carrying the book with me. I think the other day I was at the Cape on the weekend, and now I find delight of like sitting down at the beach, which normally I wouldn't, because I want to be active. I want to be kite surfing.
Yeah.
But if it's boring, but if I have a book, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Even I feel like if you carry the book, then you're not just going to pull out your phone and look at it for 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Like, you know how much you could read in 20 minutes if you're not looking at your phone?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like the other day I cut my foot at the beach, and I was like bleeding, and people were like, you have to go to the ER. Have you been to the ER with Annie?
I have not.
Okay. Have you been to the ER?
I have not.
By the way, the ER is not
actually,
bad.
I have. 5 years ago, I broke my ankle.
You broke. So how many hours did you spend there?
Like 2.
That's it? Where
Yeah.
did you go?
It was
Framingham?
No,
Where you from?
Framingham. No, I went to St. Elizabeth's in Brighton.
In Brighton. Oh,
Yeah.
that must be nice.
It was like a Tuesday night at 10 o'clock.
Tuesday night.
That
10
must
o'clock.
be nice. Okay.
Or so, I don't know. But it's like when you go to the ER, you have a child. You have like one time one of my sons threw a shovel backwards and landed on the forehead of the other, and like there's like blood just dripping down the forehead. Go to the ER. You spend like 10 hours there.
That's crazy.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, go to the ER, you're bleeding. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the ER. And then I had the Home Depot book in my hand.
So you're like, I'll go to the ER.
Let's go to the ER. It's like, let's go. And I was like,
uninterrupted.
Uninterrupted time.
You're
I'm
like,
sitting down, air conditioner.
Did you get stitches?
No, they just glued it up. It's on the foot. It's on the bottom of the foot, so it's just impossible to stitch it. But I'm just sitting there reading. Had an amazing time. I'm done with the book, right? I crushed the book there. No problem at all. And so that's what David says to me, like, who are you? And I'm like, I went to get my driver's license renewed. I had to sit there for hours waiting for that horrendous number, just the ticker, just go up and up.
Can't you do that online?
No, it's a new
Did you go
thing.
there on purpose?
It's
so you
been 20 years ago or something. The thing expired. I had to go. My eyesight, they needed to test, whatever it was. But I had to go in person. I tried the online version. But you know what? I brought a book. I'm reading the book.
Love it.
And it's like, it's actually, that's another way I find time.
Yeah.
If you carry the books with you.
Carry the book.
You just go wherever you are. You find
instead of being 15 pages deep on Twitter and getting mad about some stuff.
I love Instagram now. They added that thing that says you're caught up.
Oh, you've gotten there in the Instagram feed?
Well, I unsubscribe. I'm keeping my feed very low.
Okay.
But it's like I always get there and like, oh, okay. I'm
you
done.
don't follow that many people.
I try not to.
That's good.
Or the people I follow are not
good.
very active.
All right, we're coming up on 20, 26, 27 minutes, which is the sweet spot. So what else, man? Do you have anything you want to wrap with? I think this was great. We gave the people 3 things: sabbaticals, leadership principles, and some reading stuff. But
I also have an important advice, I think, for people in the summer and thinking about this new accessory that has come out that has come back.
Can you show the people?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is
is Seeking Wisdom going to be sponsored by what does GUCCI mean?
So let's talk about this. Is a belt bag.
It's a belt bag.
Yeah, and so this is definitely the new trend.
Okay.
It's a very practical accessory for men to carry all kinds of stuff in it. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know we were doing this.
Yeah,
but,
sure. Hold on.
It's amazing. Like, this is David's charger. I took it when I went to Toronto. I took it from his desk. You get your sunglasses. You have your phone. You have your AirPods. Passport, driver's license, wallet. It's just like all the things you can put in here. It's amazing.
I love it.
And
it's
a
good look.
In your pocket.
I was skeptical of it until 2 things. Number 1, I learned that it was Gucci, so that's pretty cool. The other thing is I was on.
My daughter got me into this. She bought it for Father's Day,
apparently.
And so half of the company thought it was ridiculous.
Then yesterday I'm on Instagram and I see T.I. with the same fanny pack. It's not a fanny pack.
Belt bag.
T.I. with the same belt bag. Anyway, Elias, thanks for doing it. Thanks for holding it down.
DC, come back.
DC, come back. We're gonna break records with this one, and shout out Gerard Mayo. Okay, it's been a while.
We miss him.
We miss you.
We need to bring him back.
I went to Toro the other night. It was
not the same without him.
No,
absolutely.
They were like, the wait will be 45 minutes, sir. Oh, and don't forget Hypergrowth. We're 8 weeks away. We're talking about what we're announcing at Hypergrowth tomorrow. I can't wait. 8 weeks away. If you go to hypergrowth.drift.com right now, use the promo code Seeking Wisdom. We're gonna waive $500. Tickets are $199. It's crazy. We sold out last year. We've already tripled the amount of people that were there last year this year. So be there.
Wow.
Okay.
It's amazing. Come.
Both coasts.
We'll hang out. Party.
Peace.